have the Ayatollah of fantasy rock and roller with us today, Adam Rank. How you doing, Rank?
They look great in person, and I just can't wait till next year where we can pack it full of 25,000.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I didn't know it was Ball Guys Day. It was being ranked. I mean, how can you lose?
This is the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast.
Hello and welcome back to the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast. This is episode 121, and joining me as always to prevent me from talking to myself is the one and only Major Caldwell at Way Too Major. Double at. How you doing, Major?
Good, man. How you doing? Always a pleasure being here.
Hey, you know what? It's glad to have you back on location. You were in like some sort of remote location the last show that we did. Little purple walls, little princess castle in the background. But hey, you got your people behind you right now.
There you go.
UCLA? What we got going on there in the background?
I think it's the Rams. I just snipped it from some, I don't know what it was. I just put crowd, and I just, the people's champ. You got to have the people.
So that's clearly not the College of the Canyons colors in the background, is it?
It actually is. We're blue and blue and yellow. So yeah, it's close enough. That's probably what made me do it subconsciously,
A little inside your head, there. Major loves himself some Major. Okay, we'll go with that there. And you know what we love right now? This NFL offseason. New faces, new places. Everyone's trading places. This is like Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd way back when in the late 80s, early 90s. I can't even remember when that movie Trading Places came out.
80s.
But hey, everyone is on the move, or so it seems right now. This may be the craziest offseason that I can recall. Or maybe I'm just a little bit happy because some things kind of happened for my personal team, but we're not going to get into that quite yet. I'm going to try and drag that out as much as possible here. But before we go any further, make sure to hit that like button down below, down there somewhere. Hit that, please. Make sure you subscribe to the Vipers Network on YouTube. And if you are listening to us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, whatever other media platforms out there that you can be listening to us on podcast form, make sure to rate and review it. And as always, hey, check it out. We are presented by the Fantasy Points Media Group. So head over to fantasypoints.com. Enter that promo code Vipers22 and get that 10% off that subscription today. They have one of the best NFL prospect guides out there right now. Check out some of the stuff they're doing. Wes Huber is absolutely nailing it. I Heart Huber is a shirt I need to get made up. I Heart Huber right across my chest.
I like
it's
it.
going to be a done deal. I got to get, even if I have to put it in Sharpie or something. But,
I think the Sharpie is even better.
It has a little more sentimental value, doesn't it? A little
Exactly.
bit of put some effort into it. Maybe I'll get a little glitter, a little unicorn glitter, and sprinkle that on myself.
And went too far as always.
Yeah, that line is kind of, I don't know where it is, but hey, let's talk about some of these free agencies, signings here, some of these trades that we've seen. And let's start off with kind of kicked off this offseason. Russell Wilson joining the Denver Broncos in what kind of shook basically the NFL world a little off guard. I knew there was rumors of Russell Wilson last year going. There's always been kind of that speculation of where he's going to go, how it's going to work out. What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos?
I think it's an absolutely perfect fit. Last year we were going through this whole thing, like Russell Wilson to Chicago, I think it was Chicago, and then he went to, I don't know, he was going everywhere except Denver. And in Denver, we kept saying, they're just a quarterback away. So I think there's a perfect marriage. And when this trade happened, I was like, to Denver to the Super Bowl. But that was before all these, before everyone else started to, throw their hat in the ring. So, I do think it's a great thing for Judy. Patrick, that's one of my guys. That's one of my players I love to stash. With Tim Patrick, who else they have over there? I mean, they have a litany of receivers. They did get rid of Fant. I'm kind of sad for him because he's getting thrown into purgatory. But Albert, I can't pronounce his last name, so I'll just call him AOK. AOK is going to have a time to shine, and I think he was right on the heels of Fant anyway. So I think that offense is ready to go. They have that young running back over there. Maybe they sign Gordon back. So we'll see what other moves they have, but the defense is pretty good. It's not the defense of your dad's Denver defense, but I think this team they're right in the mix there. What's your thoughts?
If you pronounce anyone's name with conviction, it is spoken into existence. Albert Ogawagabanam. See, I don't even know if that's right, but I'm just going to throw it out there, and I'm going to
you said
that it's correct.
Hunga. I don't know. That might have been a little offensive. I don't know. Stick with AOK.
Okay, you know what? I'll probably even screw up the K part, so I'll stick with Albert O.
There you go.
Hey, when I first thought of this, I was like, oh, here we go. Another quarterback in that AFC West that already had Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, 3 of the top 5 quarterbacks in terms of passing yardage last season. And now you're throwing in Russell Wilson, who was, if you would have taken the yards per attempt and yards per completion into account, he was right up there in the top 5-6 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Obviously, he kind of derailed a little bit with the injury, the surgery on the finger. That obviously had some kind of effect. He hasn't been running with his legs as much as he has maybe in the past, kind of hurting that fantasy. But the first thing I thought of was Jerry Jeudy as Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton as the DK Metcalf, and now, on top of it all, he's got, like you said, Tim Patrick. Let's put some respect on that man's name because he can get the job done. He didn't have a Tim Patrick there in Seattle. This is a different thing altogether. Yeah, he had Chris Carson. He had Rashad Penny, if you want to go there. Now he's got Javonte Williams, possibly Melvin Gordon coming back. I hope not. I mean, I really hope for Melvin Gordon he ends up somewhere else for fantasy. But, I mean, I don't think we're missing a whole lot when it comes to Russell Wilson. I don't know if he's going to be a top 12 fantasy quarterback. I need to see him get the legs back in. If he can start running the ball a little bit more and trusting that kind of ability that he has, then top 12 is definitely going to be where he is when the season's all said and done. If he's not running, I think that's going to kind of cap him just a little bit. I mean, he's going to flirt with that. He's going to be that 12 to 15 range, regardless of how you look at it, one way or the other. Now, another quarterback that really shook things up was Carson Wentz. No, okay. Maybe not, but he was the next domino to follow the quarterback position, going from the Indianapolis Colts over to the Washington Commanders, which was really just the Indianapolis Colts playing chess. They're playing 3D chess when everyone else in the league is playing checkers right now, and how they were able to move some money around and kind of get into this whole thing. We'll talk about this a little bit here, but Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders, quickly, just kind of touch on that.
Yeah, my whole thing with Wentz, and it's sad because the one thing that can kill any top athlete is confidence. And I think him getting hurt in Philadelphia and he went to go win that championship without him, he has not recovered from that. You can see in Indy when it was just like it's all in his head. So if he can find a way, hopefully he get to like a psychiatrist, a sports psychiatrist, or someone who can actually help him with that. But I've seen it before. I mean, some people call it a case of the yips, but it's bad because he has not recovered from that and all those injuries. I think physically he's there, mentally he's not. I don't know what this is really going to do for Washington unless he can get that resolved.
Yeah, for me, we know Washington was in on talks with Russell Wilson. This feels like I didn't get the big fish. I didn't get what I wanted. So let's go to the dollar store and get something cheap. Maybe I get 2 of them.
Dollar store.
I mean, you know what I mean? You go to the Walmart, you get a nice little Russell Wilson or whatnot, and then you're like, oh, all the Russell Wilsons sold out. So now I'll go get myself one of those plastic half action figures that you get at the dollar store, and that's what you're getting in Carson Wentz. I mean, I still think Washington's probably going to be in the market for a Malik Willis, a Kenny Pickett, one of those quarterbacks here, Matt Carroll here in the draft. I think that's still on the table. I'm not convinced that Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't find a way there somehow, but I mean, Carson Wentz, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you look at his numbers last year. He was 18th in passing yards, 3,563, 22nd in yards per attempt, 6.9, 22nd in completion percentage, And really, he had Jonathan Taylor to lean on. That completion percentage should have been a lot higher because teams are focusing on Jonathan Taylor. They don't care about you. They're not worried about you. Now, let's give him a little respect here because I don't want to keep piling on. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, one of the better ratios in the league, and Michael Pittman looked good. I don't know how this is going to look for Terry McLaurin. I mean, it can't be much of a downgrade dealing with Tyler Heineke last year. I have to think this actually helps Washington. Washington's in a better situation this year than last year. But, hey, let's talk about a team that may have got themselves a top 5. Let's keep this on football, though. A top 5 option at the quarterback position. The Cleveland Browns acquiring DeShaun Watson. Now, we can go into all the off-field stuff here, but we're going to keep that kind of off and for another show altogether here. The Cleveland Browns have invested heavily in here. Not only do they give up basically 3 first-round picks, which was the first time 3 first-round picks have ever been traded for one player since Herschel Walker going to the Minnesota Vikings. Wait. The 49ers gave up 3 firsts to get Trey Lance. No, they didn't. They swapped a first, okay? So they gave up 2 firsts. It wasn't swapping 3, okay? So let's pump the brakes there. Trey Lance wasn't worth 3 first-round picks. He was worth swapping a first and then adding 2. They've given 3 first-round picks, and that wasn't it. That's not even the kicker. I said, I could probably deal with the 3 first-round picks, although that puts you in a bad situation in that division because you've got Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? You've got Mitchell Trubisky. No, I'm just joking. Not Mitchell Trubisky. Lamar Jackson's there. Joe Burrow's there. And guess what? These teams, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals that you're trying to dethrone, they still have all their draft picks. So they have not mortgaged their future like the Browns. The part that gets me the most, $230 million guaranteed.
I love it. I'm pro player.
Basically, this was the Browns, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, they're all in it. And then we hear that the Browns, you're out. They're like, okay, how about we give you this? And he's like, no, I'm not quite there. How about we give you $230 million guaranteed? Yep, I'm a Brown. Let's go dog pound. That's basically how this broke down. Yeah, don't you be booing me because that's exactly how this broke down. It was down to the Falcons. It was down to the Falcons and the Saints, and all of a sudden the Browns came in, and you find out there's a lot of guaranteed money. What does this mean for the Browns for you?
So like I said earlier, when I seen Russell Wilson go to Denver, I was like, no, that's a quarterback away. Cleveland was the same thing, and I didn't really think that was going to happen because they had Baker, and it seemed like they were kind of like sold on him, organizational wise. You know, I don't know if the fans are really into him that much, but DeShaun, I love. This is how players should have the power. Like they should have the no trade clause. They should have the teams swoon them. He played this thing perfectly. So that's one thing on the field.
Perfectly. His deal that he signed in 2020 hadn't even kicked in yet.
That is beautiful. This is how free agency should look for players. I don't know how we can get more players to that, but DeShaun, like him and his crew, they're give some claps, give some that. Yeah, they're great job for that or for their team. That the way they played that was magical. But on the field, that team is ready to go. That defense is ready to go. They have a litany of offensive players. I mean, receivers are kind of thin now. But if Cooper can get it together, and I really like what's the guy with the 3 names? He's one of my guys too. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Yeah, that's one of my guys. So I can see him taking it to the next level. And you got both of those running backs still. It's I think I like Cleveland. I'm on a bandwagon. I'm ready to go. Like if DeShaun can kick off that rust, any player who's out for a year, it's kind of hard for you to come back and be on all cylinders. But DeShaun Watson is that caliber of talent to where you're going to get some rust at the beginning, but he's going to perform. So I have Cleveland like in the Super Bowl. That's one of my teams in the Super Bowl now.
Man, that AFC division, there's about 12 teams that are going to contend for a playoff spot. There's only 7 spots there. And I don't know how I got to see the schedule and where teams are playing, when they're playing. That's going to make a determination who I think is going to make it there. Definitely the Browns are in that consideration. And I don't think they're done adding players yet. I mean, there's still speculation of possibly Will Fuller going with his guy there, DeShaun Watson and whatnot. But hey, we talked about Carson Wentz heading his way to the nation's capital there in Washington. Well, part of this whole thing with DeShaun Watson, and also we see Carson Wentz kind of go, we've seen quarterbacks maybe get a little butthurt over the whole courting process, right? We've seen Baker Mayfield basically throw himself on the ground and start pounding his fists and kicking his feet. I mean, that literally was his home. I mean, the passcode to get in was number 6, according to the TV commercials. He was offended about that. So we don't know what's going on with Baker's situation. But the other quarterback that was into this, the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, not nearly as vocal, but he did not like the idea that the Atlanta Falcons were courting DeShaun Watson. I mean, he still had $48.5 million in dead cap hit that the Falcons were going to try and move. But yet the Indianapolis Colts somehow managed. And if you look at I don't know how they did this. And I've been trying to figure this out for quite some time. Okay, follow along here if you can. I'm just going to take a look at this. The Colts, they added the Colts traded Carson Wentz for a second and a 7th round pick to Washington, for a second, a third, and a third that could be turned into a second. Then they turned around and flipped one of those thirds into Matt Ryan. So essentially, they somehow turned Carson Wentz into Matt Ryan in a third or something like that. And then here's the kicker. They got the Falcons. So they added Ryan. They lost Wentz. They weren't forced into extending Matt Ryan. They gained a third that could turn into a second, made Atlanta eat $40.5 million in cap, lowered Matt Ryan's cap hit to $28 million this season, which is actually less than what the cap hit is for Carson Wentz. They somehow turned a profit in this whole thing by adding Matt Ryan. And hopefully that stops the bleeding for the Indianapolis Colts. And we talk about that quarterback position, because if you could go back and you look at the history of the Colts, 7 straight seasons has been a different quarterback starting each year, 6 different quarterbacks in that span. 2016, Andrew Luck. 2017, Scott Tolzone. 2018, Andrew Luck again. 2019, Jacoby Brissett. 2020, Phillip Rivers. 2021, Carson Wentz. 2022, as long as he can survive training camp, is going to be Matt Ryan. What are your thoughts on Matt Ryan heading up to the Indianapolis Colts? And by the way, blue 2 looks fantastic on him.
Yeah, I like it. Although I really don't know if he has that much left in the tank. But I really like how, again, pro player, I love how Atlanta kind of
did it right.
Yeah, they took the bat into that deal because they were looking out for one of their franchise players. They knew they were going through a rebuild, and instead of wasting his maybe 2 years left, they let him go to a team that can actually contend. So I do like that for the Atlanta Falcons. I do think Indy kind of took advantage of that. You can't get a MVP for a 3rd round pick. To me, that sounds like some fantasy football stuff there. But I like it. I think it is. They need to get a quarterback. They need to get a young guy in there. Hopefully we can get Ryan for the next 2 years, but I'm not sure. I don't know if he has that much left, but we'll see. He hasn't been protected in a long time, and with Indy, they have the offensive line that they're going to protect them. So, and they got some young receivers out there, so we'll see how he adjusts to that as well. But I like it. I like that move for him. I like the move for both organizations. I think this is like a win-win all the way around.
Look, he wasn't bad last year. I know he's not going to throw nearly as much with the Falcons as he did, or as he's going to throw with the Colts this year. That's not going to happen. He was asked to throw a lot more because the Falcons were a bad team, but they were still 7-10. He threw for nearly 4,000 yards last year, which was, I think the number was 3,968, which was 11th in the National Football League. Let's not forget, he was an NFL MVP. That's right. He's got more MVP awards than Russell Wilson has MVP votes. Yeah, I said it, and I'll say it again because you know how I like to pile on. But look, he was still 67% completion rate last year, playing for the Atlanta Falcons.
With no receivers.
About how poor this Falcons team was at protecting him. 170 sacks or so the last 4 seasons is what Matt Ryan suffered. You look at those PFF grades. In a clean pocket, 90.4 rating. Under pressure, 50.1. Ryan was under pressure 40% of his dropbacks last season, which was the second most. Having that Jonathan Taylor guy that we mentioned earlier, it's going to take a lot of that pressure off. But look, I could talk about how good Matt Ryan is. We can do this whole show on Matt Ryan. I mean, he's 9th in touchdown passes thrown. He's 8th in passing yardage for his career. This season, if he plays up to what he did last year, he could actually move into 5th all-time in passing, moving ahead of Ben Roethlisberger, who got there last season. I love this move for the Indianapolis Colts. You got a quarterback who had a 7.8% accuracy rating, which was 8th last year, who was 3rd in the deep ball completion percentage, and he was 4th in pressured completion. Michael Pittman, you're going to have yourself a day whenever Matt Ryan's allowed to throw that ball. We know what the offense is going to run through Jonathan Taylor, but Matt Ryan, he's going to be able to get this job done. I think that puts the Colts, dare I say, I think this puts the Colts ahead of the Titans in that AFC South division.
Dare I say, can we get some Paris Campbell love?
You know what? Here's the thing right now. We're talking about, can we get some Julio Jones love? Can we get that reunited in Indianapolis? They ran it back in the Dome in Atlanta. Maybe they can get it going in the Dome in Indianapolis. But look, it literally is right now Michael Pittman, and then you got Michael Strachan, and you got what's that kid's name? Ashton Doolin. He's there. Yeah. And you have Paris Campbell for a week or two, depending on what's going on.
Don't do that. I mean, don't do that.
You got to prove to me that you can be on the field before I can give you some respect out there. It's that simple. And as talented as Paris Campbell was coming out of college, we have not seen that translate on a regular basis in the National Football League. T.Y. Hilton's a free agent. Zach Pascal just signed with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
There are some options that they are needed to fill at that wide receiver. Could you imagine if Will Fuller ended up there? No one's even talked about that, so we won't either. So let's get into some rapid fire and some other quarterbacks here. Mitch Trubisky, Pittsburgh Steelers. Quick thoughts.
I think it's just a transition. I'm not a Trubisky fan, but anyone can have that Tannehill turnaround is Trubisky. So I'm rooting for him. You know, I'm rooting for Pittsburgh. I don't see it. I think they'll grab one of these young quarterbacks and have them sit for a year.
We asked this to Arif Hassan a couple weeks ago on Behind the Grind there, and basically he went to go take a look at the stats there of who lined up on the left, who lined up on the right, because we know Trubisky has a little bit of a tendency to the left-hand side. Turns out Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson both line up equally on both sides. So hopefully when Deontay Johnson's lined up on the right, he drags to the left quite often. That may be the situation there. Now, the one we talk about dominoes, every action has a equal and opposite reaction, right? And we see the whole follow basically start with Carson Wentz going to Washington. Then we see the whole Deshaun Watson say kind of play the way that it did, and how the quarterbacks kind of shuffled there, which all led to Marcus Mariota signing with the Atlanta Falcons. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I'm still this is another transition. I think they need to get a young quarterback in the draft as well. But again, I think it's out of him. Mitch Trubisky and Mariota, they both have the talent. Something just hasn't clicked. Hopefully, this new opportunity for both of them can prove, that they can run a franchise. And I'm gonna let you have this one because I know he's one of your Raiders. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you're getting what we all wanted back in 2015 here. You're getting the number 1 overall pick and the number 2 overall pick facing off against each other 2 times a year because Jameis Winston re-signed with the Saints. Marcus Mariota with the Atlanta Falcons. There you go. You're getting the top 2 picks going at it. You want to keep talking AFC South. Sam Darnold's still there. He's a 3rd overall pick in 2018. And there's some bum in Tampa Bay who was selected like 199th overall in 2000. Okay. That's how that division. It's got 3 top 3 quarterbacks and then Tom Brady. That's the truth. That's how it breaks down. It's not good. For me, Marcus Mariota is a bridge quarterback at best. Atlanta is probably going to be seriously considering Matt Carroll here and Malik Willis. I love Malik Willis. He's my number 1 option for anybody right now. Anyone who's looking for a quarterback, Carolina, Atlanta, Seattle. This is a guy that I'm targeting right now as my number 1 option. Now let's talk about some other quarterbacks here real quick. I'm going to let people know where everyone is. Drew Lock came over to the Seahawks in that Russell Wilson deal. Teddy Bridgewater, he's on his way to Miami this year to back up Tua Tagovailoa. Tyrod Taylor, he's heading to the New York Giants. That's an interesting one because Daniel Jones, he may or may not be able to get the job done. We've kind of seen that situation. Tyrod Taylor
can beat him out. I think he can beat him out.
I mean, that's a really interesting one because I really think Tyrod Taylor, as long as he's not getting his lung punctured, he is in a good spot. And then we got another one that is very sneaky. If you're in a super flex league, because we do not know what is going to happen. I know we said I would keep the off-field stuff out here, but we don't know what's going to happen in those civil cases there when it comes to DeShaun Watson. We don't know if the NFL is going to take a stand in one way, shape, or form with suspension. Jacoby Brissett heading to Cleveland is a low-key, sneaky kind of signing right now that you're like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're getting another mobile quarterback that does some stuff very similar to what Deshaun Watson. I want to keep saying Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson's not even going to be in the league this year. Deshaun Watson, I like that one for the Cleveland Browns. I like that signing. It's a very low-key, very affordable deal. But let's talk about some of these other quarterbacks right now that are maybe not where they are going to be when it's all said and done. We've got Colin Kaepernick still out of the league. We've got Cam Newton. I don't know if I think his best football is clearly behind him. I don't think he's even going to find a spot. I think he thinks he's a starter, and I don't even know if he's a backup right now. You've got Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's like 62 years old, but he can still sling it when given an opportunity. Andy Dalton, he's a free agent right now. Who knows where he's going to go? Now, these are the two interesting ones. Baker Mayfield, where does he end up? When we're talking about musical chairs here at the quarterback position, you remember that game as a kid? And everyone stopped. You run find that chair. I think both these chairs got pulled out from both these quarterbacks. We heard the San Francisco 49ers. I know you're connected to them. John Lynch is saying, I've got an offer for 2 seconds for Jimmy Garoppolo. Bull crap. I'm going to call you right now. I'm going to go to How to Lose a Guy in 10 days there when Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson there are at Matthew McConaughey's parents are like, bullshit. And you playing that card game? That's exactly what's happening right now. The whole NFL is saying bullshit to the John Lynch's bluff here. Because there ain't nobody giving you 2 seconds right now. The only team that could possibly give you anything right now would be the Seattle Seahawks. And they're not giving you 2 seconds.
Especially if Ryan went for a third. Jimmy is not getting more than Ryan. So I doubt that.
Jimmy's got that shoulder injury too that he's still dealing with. I think there's still some medical red flags on that. So you're looking at this. You got Drew Lock. Yeah, not the answer. Definitely not the answer. But are you moving 2 seconds when you have Drew Lock already under contract there?
No,
probably not. You're probably looking at the draft. Maybe you're looking at another affordable option out there. Maybe that's where Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in because you get him cheap. You're not giving up a draft pick. Baker Mayfield, where are you going to end up? Jameis Winston just signed it with the Saints. You could end up in Seattle, and I bet you this is where it's going to be interesting. The Browns right now would probably be like, yeah, give us a fourth. We'll give you Baker. Yeah. So now Jimmy's like, and here's the thing. I was on record earlier saying, I don't think the 49ers really want to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. I really think they still have reservations about where Trey Lance is in his development. Is he going to be the quarterback? Absolutely, he will be the quarterback. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
No,
I don't think it's going to be 2022. I think it's going to be 2023.
You're absolutely right. I think they're going to throw him out there and see what happens. And if it looks a little shaky, they're going to pull him. So I think they put Jimmy out there to see what they can get back, but I don't think he's going anywhere. But I think your analogy of the musical chairs was perfect because I remember being a kid at my birthday party. We're doing a musical chair. Me and one of my older cousins are the last two in the game, right? I should win. It's my birthday, right? He sits, knocks me off the chair, and that's kind of like where Baker is right now. I don't really see a team that he can really go to. I mean, Seattle maybe, but I think Seattle is in a rebuild. They're not really looking for a veteran quarterback that's going to bring $18 million cap hit, So I don't see where Baker can really go right now, and it sucks because he did do a lot for that organization, like giving them that gusto, giving them that ability to think that they can win, like because Cleveland always had a really good team, but they always got in their way because they didn't know how to win. But when you have someone on there coming in, pounding on their chest, that gave them that gave the whole team and the organization in the city that shot of adrenaline that they needed. But Yeah, man, it kind of sucks for him. I was thinking that he was going to go to the Saints until they signed Jameis back. So I really don't know where he can go and be a starter. I mean, at this point, he can go anywhere and be a backup, but it's kind of shaky right now.
And the other option there, the other quarterback needy team, and I use air quotations for those who are just listening to us on podcast form, is the Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold. Now, they went into the offseason basically like, yeah, we're comfortable with Darnold as our quarterback. We would like to improve on the position, but we extended him last year with that 5th-year option. So we are willing to give him one more year. So I think they're definitely in that bridge quarterback position. Matt Carroll, Malik Willis, definitely on their radar here this year. Get drafted quarterback.
One thing with Carolina, Baker said he doesn't want to go there, and the Panthers said we're not even looking at you. So that one is out the picture as well. So it's really man, where can he go? Like what? Maybe we should do a whole show on like where can Baker go, because I have no idea right now.
What we should do is we should literally put get a graphic. We'll get Bob Gilchrist on this right now. We'll get a graphic right now of a bunch of different NFL players, and we'll put Mayfield in there, where's Waldo style.
Yeah.
We're talking about kids games here, right? Remember that game used to tick me off because everyone was wearing Waldo's shirt. You know what I mean? Everyone's wearing that red and white striped shirt and ticking me off every way.
I was always good at that. I was so good at finding them. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I'm colorblind and stuff like that, and all the Waldos look the same to me. I mean, they literally had once you threw everyone in the candy cane stuff and threw I couldn't tell. I'm like, I hate this game. And then you look over at someone else who'd find them, and you're like, oh yeah, I had him there. Yeah, that's a good eye. Yeah, we got the same spot. Now, the one spot here that we can agree on here that's not going very well is going to be the running back position. And we're going to get into that here in just a second. We're just going to take a quick little break here. But before we do, make sure to take an opportunity to head to fantasypoints.com, enter promo code VIPERS22 and get 10% off that subscription today. Trust me, the things that they're doing over at Fantasy Points are second to nobody in this business. You got some great articles being cranked out each and every week, and you do not want to miss what the latest stuff is coming out there. New content daily. That's fantasypoints.com. And we'll be back here right after this quick little break.